Hey there, everyone. It's Lisa Danforth, and today I am here with Julia Scott from J. Scott Marketing. Hey, Julia, she's dialing in from California today. And any of you that are popping on, please feel free to share where it is that you're dialing in from. We'd love to hear. And Julia's going to be talking today. She's going to be answering the question, is email marketing dead? But before we jump in, I'd love to share a little bit about Julia because she's got just an amazing background that I really, really want to share. So let's start with before forming J. Scott Marketing, Julia Scott worked for 6 years as a newspaper reporter, including a stint at the Star Ledger, where she contributed to a Pulitzer Prize. So exciting. Yeah, but you did, which is amazing. Later, Julia started a website to help people save money that became a national brand featured in the Wall Street Journal, Good Morning America, NPR, and dozens more national media outlets. Through these adventures, Julia discovered and mastered many marketing and communications solutions that she and her team now provide for their clients. And when Julia is not taking charge of her clients, she loves to be out in the woods, growing some of her own food and waking up early. So Julia, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
I'm so glad to be here, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me on. And I'm really looking forward to talking about email marketing today.
When you were chatting about it a while ago, I was like, okay, you're pretty darn excited about this. We've got to bring it. And it is such an important component, right, of our marketing of all of that. So the question is email marketing dead? I think we got that one figured out, but tell us a little bit more about it.
Yes. Well, who here remembers MySpace, Friendster, or Yik Yak, right? While those platforms have died, we can certainly say that email is far from being dead. Because think about it. How many email accounts do you have, Lisa? Probably one for work, maybe one for your personal sphere, maybe separate accounts you just use for signing up for junk accounts or things like that. I mean, I'm guessing you have at least 2 email accounts. I think I have 3 that I check actually pretty regularly. So email is where we are all accessible. It's also something we have set up on multiple devices, right? Obviously on our computers, probably on our smartphones, maybe even on a tablet or iPad or other device. Mm-hmm. So email is very integrated into our life. And that's just one of the reasons why email marketing is really important, is because we all use email, and brands' responsibility ultimately is to reach their customers where they are.
Good point. Absolutely. So you had mentioned something about there are 3 reasons why businesses should absolutely be leveraging email marketing. Can you go into those a little bit?
Yes. The first reason why a business should consider email marketing, simply because it's cost effective. It's something that you can utilize many times a month for typically a flat fee. You can leverage content you've already created. So if you have a great white paper or blog content or just a great landing page you've created, those are all things that you can repurpose and use in your email marketing. And it scales seamlessly. So it's really a great fit for businesses that are growing. That's really the number one reason. And if we just go look into the cost a little bit, there's plenty of services that you can use for free. And then at the most, you might be paying, $50, $75 or more if your list is a lot bigger. But it's a pretty reasonable monthly cost for a very powerful tool to get into your customers' homes and lives. There's also the one-time cost of professionally designing your email template, which we do recommend. And the reason that is so important is because you want your email marketing to be on brand, so it feels consistent, and so that you feel really confident that it's not too, is it too colorful? Is it too busy? Is it too bland? You really want a professional to look at your email template and say, this is going to represent your brand really well. Especially if you compare the cost of email marketing to, say, a physical mailer. You have to design a postcard or your brochure or mailer. You have to buy postage, and you have to print the printed material as well. Email marketing is also a lot cheaper than if you were to buy a print ad. Now, as a former print journalist, we do recommend to our clients a hybrid of digital and traditional media, but those newspaper and magazine ads are really pricey. They can start at, $500 easily and go up to many, add a lot more zeros to that. So email marketing is... Mm-hmm.
Even digital ads?
Digital ads, can also be quite pricey. Yeah, in traditional media outlets, we're just doing a media buy for a client right now. So we've been looking at a couple different publications. I mean, it varies obviously depending on how big or small the publication is, but they can get really, really pricey really quickly. Yeah. And then the other thing about the cost of those other forms of marketing compared to email marketing is that if you're sending a mailer or buying a newspaper ad, you might not even be reaching your potential customers. With email marketing, there's all kinds of data to back up your reach and the return on your investment. So that's another great point about email marketing that makes it so a business owner should really consider it is you have data, you can actually measure your investment.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think we hear about that, quantification and whatnot, but I think it can be a little bit confusing. Can you talk a little more?
Specific to email, yeah. So when you are sending an email campaign, right? So that's a big email to your list. You can look at your open rates. So what percentage of people that you emailed actually opened your email? So that's a great indicator. Although keep in mind that even if people didn't open your email, they are likely still seeing your name and your email subject in their inbox. So you may have reached them. You may be in their brain, even if they didn't open your email. So you have your open your rate, and then you have your click-through rate, right? So did somebody click on a link in your email? And what percentage of people who opened it clicked on it. So that's a really important indicator too. We typically recommend our clients when we build email campaigns, we try to have just one click, sometimes called a CTA, a call to action. If people have one action to take, then it's really clear whether that CTA button was successful or not. Sometimes it's hard because you really want people to do two, or you have lots of amazing news and different CTAs to offer. But it's important to look at how people clicked once they opened your email. And most email clients like MailChimp or Constant Contact or Emma or so many others, you can actually look at who opened your email. So you can figure out who's active, who's inactive. You can do all kinds of cool things with emailing the people who weren't inactive. We had a client who they were trying to figure out why weren't people clicking on certain emails. And so we set up this campaign with them. For everybody who had not opened an email for an entire year, we sent them what's called a re-engagement series. So trying to re-engage them, trying to figure out why they weren't active. And so there's all kinds of things you could do made possible by the data available in that email client. So it's a very actionable marketing tactic. It's one that you can really spend a lot of time on, but you can also do pretty well without a huge amount of time.
And can you share a little bit about, I know I've been told if people haven't actually opened it, we can sort of put a different subject line in and essentially send the same exact email and see if that works. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, you can do a little bit of testing, or just simply, like you said, update the email subject and see if they would open it that way. A/B testing is something we debate internally at J. Scott Marketing about, when it makes sense, when it doesn't. Definitely the bigger the list you have, the more it makes sense, because from a statistical point of view, you need enough data about version A and version B to be able to make a decision about which version is the winner, right? If you only have 50 emails, that data is not going to be conclusive. So for bigger businesses that have, several hundred people on their email list, you may want to start thinking about A/B testing. And the most important thing about A/B testing is you can only change one variable, right? If you're changing the subject line, you can't also change an image. You can't also change the CTA or the color of the button, because otherwise, how are you going to know whether the different behavior was attributed to the email subject or, say, that other thing? So it can be tempting to be like, let's test all these things. And then you'll be like, this data is worth nothing. So just remember to go slow, just test one thing at a time. But and we're getting a little off topic, but this is great stuff. So definitely try to test your subject lines. Test your CTAs, like your call to action. Is your call to action read more, or click here, or buy now, or let's talk? I mean, you can really get creative with your CTAs. So that's a great area to test. Also, the size of your buttons or the color of your buttons. I mean, these are all things that make a difference in how we as consumers behave. And there's a lot of data about, even font size, the colors, all this kind of psychology that really plays into marketing. So have fun with it.
Yeah, I love what you just said. I mean, it really is just that's just such a golden piece, right? Of only change one thing. We think someone didn't open it, we need to change all sorts. So that is just like amazing. Thank you. I
Yeah.
really, really appreciate that. And it is, I mean, colors, font size, and whatnot. I know when I receive something, it's got all sorts of colors. I'm just like, whoa, and I back out of it. So to really see which one works. I do want to give a shout out to Christine Golden, who is here. She said, yay, Julia. So, hey, thanks so much for joining us, Christine. So let's jump into the next thing. We had talked about, can you share about why companies segment their lists and the importance of doing it?
Yes. And actually, Lisa, before we do that, could we talk about the other two great reasons why businesses should consider email marketing?
You shared so much.
Okay.
I thought that was sort of three. So no, go deeper. This is
Okay,
awesome.
great. So the other reason, and we touched a little bit upon this, but email marketing has a really amazing return on your investment. So there are some studies that show that email marketing has the highest ROI, return on investment, of any other marketing channel for small businesses. And it's known to have higher conversion rates than social media, direct mail, or search. So it's a very powerful marketing tactic. I think sometimes it gets a bad name because it's just been around for so long, and there's always this pressure to like, what's the new thing in marketing? And yes, that's important. We want to stay up on trends and currents, but the reality is that email marketing, as we said, is so embedded in our lives that it's just very effective. So definitely consider email marketing, especially if you already have a great website. If you're active on at least one social media channel, you should really think about looking at email marketing. So just a couple of little stats I want to share with you. For every $1 spent on e-marketing, it generates $32 in ROI. 81% of businesses say that email drives customer acquisition, and email offers result in shopping spending 138% on their purchases. So there's a lot of great data connecting email marketing to actual sales and retention and loyalty. So those are all really important things to consider. The number 3 reason why you also want to consider email marketing for your small business marketing program is it builds loyalty, right? You can be consistent. You can design those beautiful on-brand email templates. So when people see your email, they're reminded of your brand values. It keeps your brand top of mind. And it's something that you can use to nurture a customer, whether they are a first-time customer who've just made one purchase, or somebody who signed up because they were on your website or in your store and liked your vibe and your offerings but didn't actually buy something. It's something that you can really use to nurture that relationship along the way, and so that they do become a loyal repeat customer, and even somebody who advocates for your brand, who evangelizes and talks about, how great the shampoo is and it's making their hair so wonderful, or, whatever your product is. So it's not to be understated. A couple different ways to build brand loyalty. So sharing important updates and reminders. Of course, we all love to receive a discount or a special offer. 75% of consumers favor companies that offer rewards. So, right, who doesn't like some kind of a discount or reward or something to make them feel like they're a little special? As we talked about, email marketing is a great way to circulate content, right? Whether it's a blog post, new downloadables, white papers, other kind of content, surveys, quizzes, that kind of stuff, results. Those are all kinds of things that you can share via email marketing. So you had asked a little bit about segmentation, Lisa.
Can I just stop for just a second? I want to get a shout out to Celeste Steele, who is joining us, and then also Joy, who says, loving all this information. Thank you. So thank you, ladies, for joining us. I really appreciate it. And then I kind of want to ask one thing as well. What I've really heard is just such a bonus for having your email list is that it's yours, right? Social media, on Facebook or LinkedIn, it could potentially go away, which
So email is considered an owned asset as opposed to a paid asset, like buying an ad where you have to pay for to get it. Email marketing is incredibly valuable because you own those emails. Now, of course, you want to take care of those emails. If somebody signs up for your email list and you never email them, Why are you collecting their emails, right? So you have to, it's an asset that you own, but you also have to take care of, right? You don't want to collect people's email if you're never going to email them. So that with great power comes great responsibility.
So true. So true. And Janice Cooper says, how do you get around Gmail's filters, which usually keep customers from seeing the emails? Great question, Janice. Thanks so much
Yeah,
for joining us and participating.
that is a great question. It's very hard to get around those Gmail filters. The best way is to have great email content so that people open your emails and so that they want to have them in their inbox. A lot of times your emails might not even make it into the promotions or social tab if nobody's opening them. So making sure that when you upload your email list, you have a first and last name. That will help with your deliverability rate, your ability to actually get into somebody's inbox, even if it's in that social or promotions tab. So the first hump is actually just to get out of the spam. And there's other technical things that if you are in the unfortunate position of your emails landing in spam, and there's no shame, it's happened. Oftentimes there's some technical glitches that may be happening. So you might want to reach out to, your MailChimp help team or whatever it is, or your own technical team once you realize to try to diagnose the problem. But once you're getting out of the spam and into the promotions or social tab, yeah, really making sure your content is just so irresistible or juicy or timely that people will really want to get that news from you. Those are the best ways to get out of that filtering.
And we can circle back around to this, but I would love to hear if you have any tools, or we can jump into this before segmenting if you want to, of how do you make it, really juicy and interesting and something that someone wants to open. I know that that's something that I really struggle with is, the subject line. It's like, and there's subject
Yeah.
line analyzer or something like that, which.
Yeah. There's, I think you're referring to what's called pre-header text. So oftentimes you'll see who it's from, the name of the person or the name of the business. Then you'll see the email subject. Then in certain email clients, you'll see the start of the actual email. So since somebody mentioned Gmail, I will come up to my Gmail and depending on how long the email subject is, I may start to see 1 to 5 or 6 words of the actual email. So you want to actually make sure that you're intentional about creating that as well. But it sounds like your question was about how to create that irresistible content. And that's really, it's hard. It's hard to really get in the minds of your customer and think, what's like really important to them? What's really going to drive their interest? Definitely spend a little bit more time on writing the email subject than you think you might need to. It's oftentimes the last thing we do. And we've already spent all this time like designing and checking the links. And is this like editing down the content and getting rid of all the typos? And we're like, I just want to be done with it, right? So, but try to pause and just remember that if you slack off on your email subject, nobody's going to see this amazing email that you've created. So your email subject is way more important than you may realize. And the other thing that's important is who it's from. So emails in general are more likely to get opened if they're from an individual than if they're just from ABC Carpets, right? Because they're like, oh, ABC Carpets is emailing. It's like Tina from ABC Carpets. Oh yeah, I think I saw her on Instagram that one time. She did that really funny TikTok video, blah, blah, blah. So
Excellent.
the more you can put a face to your email marketing, the better. And, depending on your business, this may or may not be appropriate, but try to put a face to your name and then spend some time thinking, like, what's really going to drive my customer to open this email? But also look at yourself. What kind of email would I open? I think a lot of times we put on sort of like our business hats and we're like, oh, I'm super in business mode. Right. And we forget that like our customers are just real people and they're not going to open these really slick sounding, emails where like new blog post, like just tell me what it is. I'm
January's content.
Right. Go definitely push yourself beyond something totally generic and boring, which a surprising amount of people still do. Really think about what is when I think about email subjects, I actually rely back on my days as a journalist when when I would be writing my newspaper stories and I would have to think of the lead, what is the most like interesting, compelling thing about this email? And that would often become my lead depending on the type of story. So, and one of my, an email, we can use like words that maybe are a little cutting edge or inappropriate. But one thing that has always served me well was asking myself, like, what kind of language would I use if I was talking to my grandmother? So right, you want to like make it juicy, but like still appropriate for your grandmother.
Sweet and juicy, like a ripe peach.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, every brand is different. This advice may not be applicable to all brands, but in general, you don't want to be scandalous or sensational. You want to talk in words that you would use to talk to somebody pretty familiar or like that you still respect.
Great. Thank you.
Does that answer your question, Lisa?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So we're already at 20 minutes. So let's jump into segmenting. Because I know that was just a really big piece. So let's
talk a little bit about segmentation. So segmentation is when you take your big, nice email list and you break it into pieces. And the reason that you want to consider segmenting your list into 2, 3, 7 email lists is because not all your customers are alike. And they have different needs. They have different relationships with you. They may buy different products or services from you. They're not all alike. And when we create marketing content, like an email campaign that is for everyone, it often ends up speaking to no one. It's just too broad. It's too generic. It doesn't really help me with my specific problem, right? So for an example, Flourish Beauty Care Products. They're actually a Vermont brand. We worked with them on some content marketing strategy, and they do a fantastic job on segmenting their email list. And they have a lot of different hair care products, right? So I don't want to receive hair care products for hair that is like super curly, right? Because my hair just has a little bit of wave. It's just not relevant. And that would kind of turn me off because then I associate Flourish with these emails that are like, sometimes they're for me, but sometimes they're not. And they just kind of get put in my mind and in my mental space of like, that's probably going to be a waste of time. So you really want to send content to your subscribers that is relevant to them. So segmenting takes a lot of work, but it's really valuable. And there's a lot of different ways you can actually segment your list. So you can base it on location, depending if that's important to your business, their interests, their purchase history, demographics. You could base your segmentation on their behavior. For example, we had talked about if your subscribers are really inactive, you may segment based on activity. You could have segments for cart abandonment, the origins of the relationship, and more. There's a lot of different ways to segment.
That's why I get those, hey, you've got something left in your cart, Lisa.
Yeah, those cart abandonment emails are a really big deal. And there's a lot of great ways to do them too. So, and a lot of these topics, Lisa, because we have very limited time, your listeners can Google and dive into. So I want to share some of the benefits of email segmentation, because as we said, it is kind of a headache. It's a lot of work up front, and then you get the payoff. So if you segment your email list, your open rates will increase by about 39%. You're going to have 34% more email relevancy. You'll have 28% lower unsubscribe rates. You'll have 24% better deliverability, which is when it actually lands in their inbox and not in their spam. 24% increase in sales leads. This was a slide that I shared with you. I don't know if we're able to share slides during the live.
No, we need to upload them ahead of time. I'm sorry, I should have asked you. Yeah.
And 24% greater revenue. And there's a bunch more stats that I could share, but basically, email segmentation will bring good things if you can go through the process of actually teasing out and segmenting your list. And email clients know that segmentation is important, and they're making it easier and easier. So there's often different ways that you can use their filters to segment your list so that it's not permanent, right? Because some of these segments may shift over time. And so you may want to be able to say, well, in the last month, I just want to email the people who didn't open the January, get started on your New Year's resolutions email or whatever. So look into your email clients' tools for segmentation. Sometimes you have to bump up the level of your account in order to get access to those segmentation tools. But
Good to know.
really strongly recommend segmentation. If you're going to spend the time investing in email marketing, you might as well do it really well.
So would you be willing to put some of those stats in the comments thread so that people can check them out? We've tried adding a link, which does not work in the comment section before with some speakers. So I do want to just ask, Designer Money says, any free email marketing tools that you would recommend?
Oh my goodness. I mean, almost all the email marketing clients that I've mentioned today have like a freemium. So like a free account level. And if you want the premium, you have to pay for it. But I think, Constant Contact, MailChimp, and Emma all have free email. I think HubSpot may have like a free email tool. There's so many different ones. I'm trying to think of some of the other tools that we use. Some of the tools we have are for designing the content. So that may not be as relevant, but there's no shortage of free email tools, which is the good news.
Which is wonderful, right? And you want to really try them out first to make sure that it fits. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And definitely, ask around your other, business associates and see what they like and use. And also you can look at the email campaigns that you receive. And are there any ones that you like? I mean, that's probably just because it has a good design, but you might check it out that way and find a good tool for you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for asking, Designer Money. So are there any questions that I did not ask that you feel, that you would have asked yourself?
Ooh, good question.
About getting into the business, about the actual operations and whatnot.
About getting into my business?
Well, yeah. Just, starting your business, is there like giving someone some insight there or some resources or anything that you feel that you'd like to share that I did not ask you?
I will just share, I'll try to keep it relevant to email marketing. I will just share that I have a service business, right? We provide marketing services. I have found email marketing to be a really valuable tool for keeping my pipeline healthy and really staying in touch with people. And we email every quarter, sometimes not even that. Shh, don't tell. We email about every quarter, and I swear there's people who stay in touch with me because of that. And I think of my own experience sometimes when I'm like, oh, I need a person who does this thing. And I know I've networked with people who do this thing, but I can't remember. And I'm like, it's because they don't have an email marketing list. So email marketing is so powerful for staying in touch with people. It's got a long-term payoff, but if you are interested in your business's long-term health, email marketing is the way to go. And Lisa, if I could just in this last couple minutes, I'll just refresh all of the 3 reasons why your business should leverage email marketing. So it's very cost effective compared to other forms of marketing and advertising. It has an amazing ROI because it is part of email marketing. Email is such a big part of our life. It's on so many devices, and it builds loyalty. It's really a way that you can massage and nurture your relationship with your customers. And of course, if you're able to segment your list, you're going to elevate your marketing and really elevate your results. So in case you just tuned in the last 5 minutes, there it is in a nutshell.
What is that? What is the book that you get? Not the synopsis,
the Cliff Notes?
Cliff Notes. Got the Cliff Notes there. Yeah, and I actually have a question, but I also want to say that Janice Cooper says, this has been great. Thank you,
Janice. Thank you so much.
And then Designer Money also says, does online presence, social media, except YouTube, matter?
Oh my goodness, does it matter? Absolutely, it matters.
That's the question, Designer.
All of that activity online goes into the algorithm that Google and other search engines use to see if your brand is relevant, if it's being talked about, if your content is valuable enough to be shared and linked to. So absolutely, all that online activity is really important.
Great. So my question is, I have a newsletter and I send it out. I do a good job, and then I sort of wane because writing is not what I absolutely love. So my question to you is this: video or copy only, and how long should they be? Could I just send a video that's literally like the 60-second video that you want to post on LinkedIn with a little bit of copy? Is that enough, or does it need to be more?
Oh, that's such a great question. I love talking about what should be in an email. We get this question all the time.
We should start at the beginning.
Yeah. I think, yes, all of those different types of emails are great. I mean, if I got to say, I guess I would ask yourself, if you received a 60-second video email from a business that you were purchasing from or had a relationship with, would you appreciate it? And I'm guessing the answer is, well, is it a good video or not? So if it's 60 seconds of fluff that's really like, something that somebody already knows, then no. But if it's 60 seconds of if you have taken the time to condense your message into 60 seconds, that's amazing. Because think about how much time you just saved everybody on your list. And you're sending the message like, hey, I know that this is important to you, but that you don't have a lot of time, or and that I am good enough to condense this down to 60 seconds and still deliver value to you. So ultimately, what matters, like the length or the content, types of content in the email, is less important than, is this actually something my subscribers want to read? And is it going to help them solve their problem? Or is it going to bring some joy to their life? Is it going to provide them with some kind of resource? Is it going to be useful? So I would say use that more as a guideline than like, should I do 3 links or 5 links or 1, or, maybe you have a 500 or 1,000 word piece that you're sharing, but it's so amazing that it's worth it. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense, definitely. And I have one more question if you're willing,
Yeah.
and we'll wrap it up. So with the video, I know I upload mine to YouTube, and then I will sort of, bring that URL in. And then so when someone clicks on it with an email, it takes it to YouTube. Is that how you recommend that it's done? Or do you think embedding it is a better way?
You know what? I don't believe there is a way to play video in email right now. The last time we did this for a client was maybe 2 months ago. And so if that has changed in the last 2 months, it's possible. But the best way that we share video is we take a screen grab of the video, and then you put the triangle, the big play, like a really big play button. And so people click on it and it opens up a new window and automatically plays the video. That's how we have found good success. But I know that those tech geniuses are going to figure out eventually, but right now there's not a way to actually play a video in an email. The exception is this email tool called Vidyard, which a colleague that we know in common, Mickey Wiles of Working Fields, shared with me. And there is a freemium, which has a lot of Vidyard branding, but you can send a video and email through this tool, Vidyard. And I know we can post in the comments after this session ends. So Lisa, I'll share a link to that. That's a really cool tool.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you so much for sharing all your brilliance. Really, it's so helpful, because I find most of the people that I talk to and work with struggle with the email, with the newsletter.
Yeah.
Really highlighting the importance of it in so many different areas that we can come at it. I truly appreciate it. So thank you. So can you share, as we're wrapping up, can you share where people can, if they want more information, or where they can reach you?
Yes, I can definitely share that. Let me paste into the chat right here, Lisa. And I'm really excited to have been able to spend this time with you. It's a lot of fun. I always love talking to you. And if people, let me just paste that in.
You actually can't paste into the chat.
Oh,
you put it into the private chat, it looks like, right? You put it into the private chat. So if you can go in and then just comment on the thread within LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube, just so that they can, but let us know right now if you can just say, Julia at J. Scott Marketing, or what social platforms.
So I'm on LinkedIn, Julia Scott. And also our website is jscottmarketing.com. And my email is julia@jscottmarketing. And I will also comment on the LinkedIn. Happy to have a conversation with anybody. I could talk about marketing all day. So Lisa, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And next week, I'm going to be going live. So I'm going to be talking about creating a saner approach to success. Who would like that, right? Just sort of a little less overwhelm, a little more prioritization, which will be great. So I hope to see you next week. It is February 4th at noon Eastern, and we will see you there to your success. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you, Lisa.
Bye.